Hello, it's Bailey. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the 12 more TBRs of friendship. If you missed my last video, the good news video, you may not know that me and some friends are doing a video project to celebrate our friend Martine and their great project, the 12 TBRs of Christmas. We have created 12 more TBRs in the vein of Martine's series, so that they can indulge in some good TBR content as well. And today is day 12. This is the final video, and I am endeavoring in doing the Book Hunger Games. And the Book Hunger Games is a game that Martine has created and played the last 2 years during her 12 TBRs of Christmas. And essentially, I have 12 tributes that will be battling against each other in a Hunger Games style arena to figure out who is the victor. And so I have read 12 books for this video, and I'm about to show you the reaping, which is how I chose the books that I was going to read here, and everything that was eligible was in for the reaping was essentially my wrapped books, which were my backlist TBR. So let's go ahead and see which books will be in the 2.5 annual Hunger Games. District 1 is the luxury district. We have The House Across the Lake, A Wallflower Christmas, Lessons in Sin, and the Bromance Book Club. The House Across the Lake. District 2 is the military district. We have Not a Happy Family, A Court of Frost and Starlight, Iron Lake, and A Night to Surrender. Not a Happy Family. District 3 is the Technology District. We have The It Girl, Naked in Death, Maybe in Another Life, and Every Other Weekend. Maybe in Another Life. District 4 is the Coastal District. We have Before I Let Go and Sea of Ruin. Before I Let Go. District 5 is Power and Electricity. We have Nothing to See Here, The Alloy of Law, and Written in the Stars. Written in the Stars. District 6 is the Transportation District. We have The Passengers and One for the Money. One for the Money. District 7 is the Lumber District. We have The God of the Woods, Local Woman Missing, and Reminders of Him. Reminders of Him. District 8 is the Textiles District. We have My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry, and The Maid. My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. Next we have District 9, which is the Grain District. We have The Sundown Motel and Tidelands. The Sundown Motel. We have District 10, which is the Livestock District, and somebody has volunteered as tribute in District 10. Notes on an execution. We have District 11, which is the Food Production District. We have Inkheart, Allegedly, and Britt Marie Was Here. Inkheart. And our final district, which is District 12, in the poorest district. We have On the Come Up and Dark Notes. On the Come Up. All right, there you have it. The reaping has occurred, which means that I have 12 reviews to give you. I have 12 tributes to tell you about. So let's get into it. Each of these books are going to be receiving a score, a judge's score from me. This score is comprised of a survival score, which is the rating I gave the book, a strength score, which has to do with how long the book was. The longer, the more strength it had, and then an elusiveness score, which has to do with how many ratings the book had, so how popular the book was. The less popular, the more elusive. And they were eligible for some special skills to earn some extra points, which I will tell you what they've earned and how they earned said special skills. All right, here we go. For District 1, I read The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I have been behind on Riley Sager. I really enjoy Riley Sager, and this was the very first book that I read for this video, so it's been a while. But I did really enjoy this one. I thought it was a really good isolated setting. It really took us on down the path of like, who did it? Your mind is changing about who you think could do it, could have done it. And for me, Riley Sager always delivers on the like multiple twists thing. So overall, this is leaving me excited to still continue forward in his, I want to say discography, in his published works. I'm reading them in order, so this is where I am. So I think I have 2 or 3 still to catch up on. But The House Across the Lake got a survival score of 4. It earned a strength score of 2 and an elusiveness score of 3. It also earned the special skill of being quiet, which it earned by having the lowest average rating, giving our District 1 tribute an overall score of 5. For District 2, I read Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. Luckily, I did not read these 2 thrillers back to back because this was also kind of just like a back to basics domestic thriller for me, but it had been a while since I had read one, so I ended up really enjoying it. In this story, we have a family who gets together for Easter dinner. It is parents and 3 children and their partners, and after this dinner, the parents are found dead. And who did it? You know, who did it? And that is the story we're following. Again, this was like just following the path of suspicion and them all being suspicious of each other while also trying to protect each other. This family has obviously stuff to gain from their parents passing. They are a somewhat wealthy family, so they would all set to inherit, but we have favorite children, least favorite children, some troubles. Troubles are amiss in here, you know, but again, maybe not the best thing ever, but I had a fun time reading this, so I did give it a survival score of 4. It earned a strength score of 2 and an elusiveness score of 4, and it earned no special skills, giving it an overall score of 5. For our District 3 tribute, we had Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was my final Taylor Jenkins Reid book to read, so I'm completely caught up on her work. I have read everything, all of it. All of her novels, I should say. And this story is centering around the concept of if you made a different decision, the 2 different versions of your life that could come from that. So like if this one thing happened and your life went on this trajectory, or if the opposite happened and your life went on the other trajectory, like what would happen and which is a better outcome. We're following two paths of that, but it delves deeper into like every decision you make could lead to like different versions of yourself, but in both of these versions we are following a little bit different of like a love story romance, and so it is the concept of like which one are you rooting for, like which one is better, you know, because they're both very different but they're also both good and sweet. And so I really enjoyed this one as well, and I did give it a survival score of 4. It earned a strength score of 2 and an elusiveness score of 3. It also earned the special skill of weapons experience, which it earned by having the most emotional impact for me, earning it an extra strength point, giving our District 3 tribute an overall score of 6. Our District 4 tribute was Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, and this is actually the last book that I read for this video. And this is a contemporary romance that is following a couple that has really gone through some tough times in the last few years, mostly revolving around grief. And through these rough years, they actually ended up getting a divorce, but they are business partners and they still work together. They have 2 children together. They still function pretty well together. And so it's a big question of like what fell apart in their romantic relationship. And this is a second chance romance. And while I thought this was a really solid story and good while I was reading it, it wasn't super standout to me. So I'm not sure if it was just the trope of the second chance romance thing. I don't know. It was like objectively really good, but potentially not for me. And that's like a really boring way to describe a book. But I did end up giving it a survival score of 3.5. It earned a strength score of 3 and an elusiveness score of 5. And it also earned the special skill of being young for being the most recently published book, earning it an extra strength point, giving our District 4 tribute an overall score of 7. Our District 5 tribute was Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellafleur, and this is also a contemporary romance. This one is a female-female romance, which follows our main character, Darcy, who is like an internet influencer astrologist. She does the lists that are like, if you are a Pisces, you should have pancakes for breakfast. If you are a Cancer, you should have a yogurt bowl for breakfast. Like that kind of stuff. But she is working with a dating website through this work, and the man that she is working with as a business partner sets her up with his sister, and they have like a terrible first date. They are, by all accounts and purposes of this first date, not compatible, but they are both trying to convince people in their lives that they are actively trying to date and fall in love, and so they end up fake dating. And so while the first date went really bad, as they spend more time together, I think it becomes obvious that they are 2 people who could really use their like alternate personalities to fuel their lives. Because our female love interest, Elle, is very much like a serious, like more wealthy character, and she could definitely use the whimsy of Darcy and her astrology things, and then Darcy could a little bit use to be taken a little bit more seriously. This was another one that I thought was good and fine, but just like didn't fuel my fire, you know? And so I ended up giving this a survival score of 3. It earned a strength score of 2, but an elusiveness score of 6. And then it also earned the special skill of agility by being the fastest to read, which earned it another elusiveness point, giving our District 5 tribute an overall score of 7. Next, our District 6 tribute was One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich. And this was fun to me. I own this because it came across my path in just like a lot of books I got at one point, and I decided to keep it. 1, I love a good mystery series, and 2, I view this as such like a classic of our parents' generation. Everybody's mom was reading this in the, let's say, 90s, early 2000s, and so I was intrigued. I wanted to try it, and well, yes, this was a little outdated. I had a really fun time, and I think that I actually will continue this series. This is following our main character, Stephanie, and Stephanie has lost her job, and she really needs to earn some money, and she earns the opportunity, is trying to get the opportunity to become is it a bail bondsman? Like, she's trying to hunt down people who need to be collected to go to court. And so she is not qualified, and she is trying to chase down some bad people, and it was honestly silly. It's outdated. There are things that you would not say now that are in this book, but I really thought it was fun. So I gave this a survival score of 3.5. It earned a strength score of 1 and an elusiveness score of 2, but it did earn the special skill of extra training by being the oldest published book on the list, earning it an extra point in elusiveness, giving our District 6 tribute an overall score of 4. Our District 7 tribute was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. And I held on to this because in 2025, is that the right year? Yeah, in 2025, I finally read Layla by Colleen Hoover for a readathon or something after like almost scratching Colleen Hoover off my list. And then I loved Layla. Like, was super shocked by how much I loved it. So I was like, you know what? I already own this one. I'm gonna hold on to it too, and I'm gonna read it someday. And someday is now. And in this book, we are following Kenna, who has been in jail for the last 5 years after having killed her boyfriend in a accident that she caused. And after this happened and she went to jail, she found out she was pregnant. So while she was in jail, she has a child. And then she doesn't get to keep said child because she is in jail. But this story is following her getting out of jail and her going back to the town that she's from and trying to figure out how she can be involved in her daughter's life again. After all of this, her daughter is with her boyfriend who passed. She's being raised by his parents, and they obviously do not think very highly of her, but I think there was a lot of like non-communication about the whole accident situation. But through this, immediately after she gets out of jail, she starts a relationship with her boyfriend's best friend without him realizing that it's her, and then he learns that it's her and has to decide whether he thinks she's a good person or not. It was a roller coaster. It really was, okay? But not bad. Like, I read it, you know. So I gave this a survival score of 3, and it earned a strength score of 1 and an elusiveness score of 1. But it did earn the special skill of sponsors by having the most amount of my friends that have also read this book, earning it an extra survival score and giving our District 7 tribute an overall score of 3. Next, we have our District 8 tribute, which was My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. This was weird, and I don't know if I can even continue to say that Frederick Bachman is one of my favorite authors. I think potentially I just really love Beartown, and I also really love an elderly character, which he loves to write, but I've had too many like not great ones from him, especially lately, because I also read My Friends this year. And this one I'm giving 3 stars. This was like, well, at times good, it is also a little bit like magical realism, which is definitely not for me. Our main character is a young girl, and she's very close to her grandmother, and her grandmother have this like kind of imaginary world that they've created and tell stories about to get through life. And her grandmother passes, so it's a story about grief and about this world that her and her grandmother created, and kind of about your sense of community. I don't know. It wasn't for me, and it's been a little while since I read it, and it's one of those things that just doesn't quite click in my brain. And yeah, I gave it a survival score of 3. It earned a strength score of 2 and an elusiveness score of 4, and it earned no special skills, giving our District 8 tribute an overall score of 4. Our District 9 tribute, which was The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, and this right here was my favorite book of the video. This is a mystery novel, investigative mystery novel that follows 2 different timelines. We have a timeline in the 80s where a young girl like ends up in this little town at a roadside motel, like on her way to New York City or something. She ends up stopping in this town and staying and being like the nighttime desk person, the overnight person at a roadside motel. And the summer that she's there, there's like a string of girls who are going missing, and then she ends up going missing. And then we are following a more recent timeline. It's in like 2017 or something. And we are following her niece, who is coming to this town to like investigate what happened to her aunt and why she went missing. And in doing so, she's essentially like following in her footsteps. She comes to this town. She ends up like living in her apartment, taking a job as the overnight clerk at the motel. And it was just a really interesting like investigative story. And there's also like, is there paranormal things happening, question mark? And yeah, I just really ended up liking like what the actual mystery was and what was happening, and it was like just spooky enough. It really did for something for me. I really ended up enjoying this one. So I did give this one a survival score of 5. It earned a strength score of 2 and an elusiveness score of 5. It also earned the special skill of camouflage for being my favorite setting, earning it an extra survival point, giving our District 9 tribute an overall score of 8. Next, for our District 10 tribute, we had Notes on an Execution by Dania Kafka. And this is also a mystery novel, but I view this as a little bit more of like a literary generational mystery. We are following essentially a story leading up to a man's execution through the death penalty, but the story spans, like, we start by following his mother and her like in an abusive relationship, and you know, he is the product of this relationship and kind of what she did to escape that and also like abandon the family. So that's really like setting the tone for where he came from. But then he also does have a sibling who like ended up taking, you know, the childhood trauma and having a more of a normal life. And it really is also centering, like, he just has like a deep-seated hatred of women. And this was extremely interesting. I wouldn't say that I necessarily like was having a good time, but this was a thinker. And I know that Lizzie from Lizzie's Literary Life really loved this book, which doesn't surprise me at all. I think in the ways that I enjoy books, or like the mysteries I would enjoy, lean more towards something like The Sundown Motel, but she inherently enjoys literary fiction more than I do. So I love that she loved this. But I did give this a survival score of 4.5, which is pretty high. It also earned a strength score of 1 and an elusiveness score of 6. And it earned the special skill of construction for having the best world building, giving it an extra survival point, giving our District 10 tribute an overall score of 8. Next, for our District 11 tribute, I read Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. And I don't even know how to talk about this. I held on to this because a lot of my friends had said that they really enjoyed this and thought that I might, especially Ruby from Ruby Red, and I just didn't. This is a middle grade book, and it is just quite frankly long. Like, long for a middle grade book. I think also out of the scope of what the intended audience like would be able to read and understand. I could be wrong, but like the concept of this story is essentially that if a story is read out loud, it can be read to life. It can be read into existence. But then we're also just following kind of like a journey plot line. I didn't care. Unfortunately, I just didn't. So I gave this a survival score of 2.5. I earned a strength score of 5 and an elusiveness score of 3. It also earned the special skill of endurance for taking me the longest to read, earning it an extra strength point, giving our District 11 tribute an overall score of 7. And then last but not least, our District 12 tribute was On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This has been really sitting on my shelf for a while. I read The Hate You Give and Concrete Rose like kind of back to back and close to when they came out, and then I picked this up like around the same time, and it's literally just been sitting there. This is a young adult novel following a main character, Bree, who is a 16-year-old trying to break out into like the rap scene, and through that she starts rapping about things that aren't necessarily maybe true to her life, just to sound cool, or because she thinks that's what other people want to hear, even though she's not, it doesn't seem to fit her like actual personality and desires and things that are important to her. But we're following her kind of like breaking out and becoming not quite famous, but she's gaining traction online and like definitely being noticed as like an up and coming rapper, and she needs to figure out like who her persona should be. And I really like Angie Thomas. I feel like I have probably outgrown this kind of like contemporary young adult novel, but I still think about her work that this is something that I 100% would recommend and hand to a teenager. I think they would really enjoy it, and I think also the messages in it are very important for them to hear. And so I ended up giving this a survival score of 3.5. It earned a strength score of 4 and an elusiveness score of 6, and it earned no special skills, giving this an overall score of 8. So those are our tributes and their scores coming in to the arena. I will be right back here with you to drop them in that arena, and may the odds be ever in their favor. It is time for the 2.5 annual Hunger Games to begin. I'm really going to be testing my storytelling capabilities here, as well as like really trying to focus on making sure I'm running these game mechanics correctly. So bear with me. Hopefully everything runs smoothly. If I forget to make this interesting, I'm sorry. Okay, so in this arena, our tributes are being plunged into darkness. So this is going to be a completely in the dark Hunger Games, and our tributes are about to be dropped at the cornucopia. And the first thing that is going to happen at the cornucopia is 4 tributes are immediately going to flee. So they're not going to be involved in trying to get their supplies. They're not going to be involved in any confrontations. They are going to run. So I'm going to generate which 4 are going to be fleeing. They will be the Sundown Motel, Reminders of Him, Before I Let Go, and One for the Money. So we are going, they are running. Okay, so those 4 are fleeing, and of those 4, whichever has the highest elusiveness, which is a tie between Before I Let Go and the Sundown Motel. So we are going to flip a coin, but whoever wins this coin flip is going to remain hidden until half of the contestants are dead, half of the tributes are dead. So we're gonna go heads for Before I Let Go and tails for the Sundown Motel. Whoever I flip will be safe until halfway. Tails, which is fine by me because this was my favorite book. So the Sundown Motel is going to remain safe until half of the tributes are dead. Now our remaining 8 contestants are going to be faced in confrontations at the cornucopia. So I'm going to pair them together to see who is battling who, and I am pairing them together. Okay, so our first confrontation is going to be between Notes on an Execution and Maybe in Another Life, and they are going to be battling in strength. So Maybe in Another Life has 3, Notes on an Execution has 1, so that leaves Maybe in Another Life as the winner, and then Notes on an Execution will face a survival roll. And since their original survival score is over 3, anything over a 15 is a death, and anything under a 15 is an injury. We are rolling on a d20, and they rolled an 8, which will result in an injury, but they do not have enough strength to survive that injury because they would lose 1 survival score and 2 strength, but they do not have 2 strength. So Notes on an Execution is being dealt a death, except anything that I rated over a 4-star, so anything with over a 4 survival score does have 1 chance to have a sponsor. So they get 1 chance to roll a natural d20 and be saved by a sponsor. So let's roll that again, and it's a 10. So they are in fact our first tribute to die. All right, then our next pairing was Inkheart versus The House Across the Lake, and they will be having a confrontation in survival. So Inkheart has a 2.5, and The House Across the Lake has a 4. So The House Across the Lake is the winner there. And then Inkheart had an original survival score of less than 3. So anything over a 10 will result in a death. And it is a 5. So that is just an injury. So they are losing 1 survival point and 2 strength points. Their strength started really high because it was a very long book. So they are also making it out of the cornucopia alive. Alive but injured. For our next confrontation, we have my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry versus on the come up, and they will be battling in elusiveness. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry has a 4, and on the come up has a 6. So on the come up is actually the winner there. And my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry does have an original survival score of 3. So anything over a 15 will result in death. And they got a 20, which is a death, and they are not eligible for sponsorship. So my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry is our second death. Then for our final matchup, we have Written in the Stars versus Not a Happy Family, having a confrontation in strength. Written in the Stars has a 2 and Not a Happy Family also has a 2, so we will flip a coin. We will flip for the loser. So if we flip heads, Not a Happy Family will lose, and if we flip tails, Written in the Stars will lose. Heads. So Not a Happy Family is our loser. Written in the Stars wins. And Not a Happy Family does have an original survival score over 3. So anything over a 15 is death. And they got a 5. So they will just receive an injury. But this injury is going to cause them death because they do not have enough strength. Written Not a Happy Family is eligible for a sponsor, so we will give them one chance to roll a natural 20 here, and they can't do it. Not a Happy Family has died in the cornucopia. And just like that, we have 3 tributes dead at the cornucopia. So I am going to clear that, and we are going to have one more event for each of these today. So what's happening now is I'm going to go in and generate whether each of these tributes will be having something occur to them today or not, or if they're just going to be safe and clear travelers for the rest of the night here. So we have 9 remaining tributes, so we're going to randomly generate whether something's happening. We have a lot happening. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We have Maybe in Another Life is going to have something happening here. So we are going to spin the wheel of doom, essentially. So Maybe in Another Life is facing a natural disaster. As we said, they are in the dark. So I think that they are going to end up running into potentially not being able to find their sense of direction. They are very lost. I'm going to consider that a natural disaster. And so for the natural disaster, heads, they're going to make it out. Tails, they're going to have a survival roll. So let's go heads or tails. And they got heads, so they are just safe. They survived their natural disaster. Next we have Before I Let Go, and they will be facing a mutation. So they are in the dark. They hear something creepy crawling. Something is chasing them in the dark. Will they survive? So this is an automatic survival roll. Anything over a 15, they will die. Less than 15 is an injury. And they got an 8. So they will just be faced with an injury, leaving them at 2.5 and 2. They did survive this injury. Next we have Written in the Stars. Written in the Stars is encountering the same mutation. Again, there is something creepy crawling in the dark. What is it? Is it snakes? Is it a ghost? Who knows? Nobody can see. So same thing, anything over a 15 will result in death. Less than is an injury. And it is a 20, so that is going to result in a death for Written in the Stars. The things that go bump in the night, got them. All right, next up we have Reminders of Him. What are they going to face? Reminders of him is going to face a confrontation, but against who? That is what we need to know. So I need to remove everybody that has already died. One moment. And it still cannot be the Sundown Motel because they are safe, they fled, they are hidden. But I didn't remove them from this list because they're still in the games. So if we get them, I'll do it again. But they are facing a confrontation against the house across the lake. Okay, so they will be having a confrontation in elusiveness. So reminders of him has a 1 and the house across the lake has a 4. So reminders of him is going to lose this confrontation. Anything over a 15 will result in death. Anything less than an injury. And it is a 6, causing them an injury, but they do not have the strength. So that will result in death. Could not survive their confrontation. Next up we have the Sundown Motel. This is a lot of action for the first night of the games. Being in the dark is a lot of pressure. The Sundown Motel is faced with disease this early. They have not been able to make it out of the water. They are lost. They are in the dark. They are getting too cold. So this will be a survival roll. Anything over 15, death. And it is a 14, resulting in an injury. So they are losing 1 and 2, and that does leave them low enough for death. So they are eligible for a sponsor as my favorite book, so we will give them a chance to roll a d20, to roll a 20 on the d20, and they can't do it. The Sundown Motel, my favorite book, while safe from confrontation, died of disease on the first night of the Hunger Games. Next up we have Inkheart. And Inkheart falls into a trap. They seem to be lost as well. They are stuck in a maze. They are stuck in a little piece of this arena and can't seem to get out. So they are facing a survival roll. Their survival score is so low that anything over a 10 will result in death. And it is a 5, so they are only faced with an injury, leaving them with only half of a survival score, but still 2 in strength. Last up we have On the Come Up. See what they will face on the first night. On the Come Up is already facing sustenance issues. They are hungry, they are thirsty, they cannot find what they need. And so they are going to be faced with a injury right off the bat. They are strong enough to survive this so far. And with that, our tributes will go to sleep for the night. Let's see what happens on day 2. It is day 2 of the Hunger Games. Our tributes are waking up in the dark and half of them are already gone. We are going to go ahead and generate whether anything is happening to each of these tributes today. I wasn't screen recording, so you didn't see that, but I did just generate these. My apologies. Okay, and off we go. First off, we have Maybe in Another Life having something going on the morning of day 2. Maybe in Another Life is faced with a natural disaster. This is a heads, they're safe, tails, they'll have to do a survival roll. And it is heads, so they are making it out safe. Next, we have Before I Let Go. Which is faced with disease on day 2. So they will have anything over a 10 results in death. Anything less is an injury. And it is a 2, so they are faced with an injury, but they do not have the strength to survive the injury, resulting in their death due to disease on day 2. Next, we have Inkheart. and Inkheart is facing a confrontation against who? All right, the house across the lake is in all of these confrontations because we are going confrontation against the house across the lake in the category of elusiveness, which the house across the lake will win. So they are winning all of these confrontations. I think they won their last one, causing Inkheart to have a survival roll. And they got a 1, which will result in injury, but they are not strong enough to survive said injury. Last up, we have on the come up, and they are faced with a mutation. This time it seems like there are birds flying at them. Again, still in the dark, scary. Let's see if they get them or not. Anything over a 10 will result in death. Less than is an injury, and it is a 15, resulting in, on the come ups, death. And another day has ended on our tributes. Welcome to day 3 of the 2.5 annual Hunger Games. We have 3 remaining tributes today. Let's see what we've got going on. Here we go. The house across the lake is going to face something. What could the arena bring today? They are faced with sustenance issues on day 3. They are unable to find any food and water at this point. Let's see if they are strong enough to survive, resulting in an injury, and their strength score is brought to 0, but they are eligible for a sponsor, so we will try to roll a natural 20, and they can't do it. The house across the lake is taken out by sustenance issues. Too hard to find their supplies in the dark. Maybe in another life was safe today. They are just trekking along through their journey. Let's see if one for the money can survive the challenges of day 3. And one for the money is faced with a natural disaster. We will flip a coin to see how much damage this disaster can bring. And it is tails, which means they are faced with a survival roll. Anything over a 15, they will die. Less than a 15, it will be an injury. They are faced only with an injury, but they do not have the strength to survive that injury, meaning we are left with a victor for our 2.5 annual Hunger Games. To our District 3 tribute, Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Congratulations on your Hunger Games win. And with that, I did it. I made the Hunger Games. And this is the final 12 more TBRs of Friendship video. You have reached the last one, and to Martine, I hope you have loved these. I love you. Thanks for watching us all do this. It is so fun to watch you do this each year, and now I hope that this was a little bit of the same joy to your life that you bring to ours. Make sure to check out all those links down below. I have linked Martine's channel, Martine's 12 TBRs playlist, as well as our 12 more TBRs of Friendship playlist in case you missed any of them. And with that, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.